Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and we are going to go into many different questions. I just gotta wait for people to get online. Until then, might as well just talk about all the technical difficulties I am having trying to get this live stream going. For some reason, all of my icons on my screen disappeared, and now there's just black squares there that light up when I put my mouse over it. I have no idea what's going on. No tech guy, so yeah, that's strange. And if you were wondering, I have been in Las Vegas for the last 5 days, 4 days or so, just trying to get work done. It's been a busy week, so I apologize for not getting a whole bunch of stuff up. I know people are used to, I kind of set this up for myself, which is my own fault. People are used to seeing a video a day, if not 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 videos a day, and it's like, I can't do that every day. But I will be getting some interesting stuff up tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I just already got a super chat from Tao Jones, who sent $10 and says, "Great work, guys. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. It's always great to see these super chats because we are up against a behemoth right now on YouTube, and I've got a video going up on that tomorrow regarding Alex Jones, the censorship, the what YouTube's currently doing right now. All insane. I've got something more extensive on that I want to put a lot of effort into, so I'll be editing a lot of that tonight and getting it up tomorrow. But I really appreciate it, Tao Jones. Awesome. Those super chats definitely help us a lot. Let's see. What Adam A says, what do you think of Bitcoin Gold? Nothing has excited me about Bitcoin Gold. I've never been like, you know what I got to get today? Bitcoin Gold. I'll tell you, I haven't read the white paper for it yet, so I don't know. No one I know actually thinks Bitcoin Gold is a good idea. I don't know. Rika, the hopeful voluntarist, is online. Hey, Josh. Hello, everyone. Hello, Rika. Everyone say hello to Rika. Let's see. We got a few comments here. I want to just prioritize a few of the more important ones because when it comes to markets versus cryptos, I'll be getting into that more soon. John has been on a trip in British Columbia. I've been on a trip in Las Vegas, and we haven't been able to put our minds together in about a week. So there's a lot going on, including what's happening with Erdogan, which is a huge issue that I will be breaking down with John soon. I know that there are a lot of issues to break into with the Turkish lira and all the central planning and the insanity that we usually get with central banks and government, of course. Daniel Erazo says, holy crap, you're live. Amazing. I've never seen you live. Love this friggin' channel. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We can't do it without people like you, Daniel. We always appreciate everyone tuning in. That's one of the great things about doing these live streams. We don't do them enough. We did it a lot for a while with our Freedom Minute updates, but those Freedom Minute updates were insane. It was really hard to pump them out, and it's hard to read a script while doing a video and editing live, and it didn't really benefit us that much. It was just a watered down version of a good report, so I'm not focusing too much on those these days anymore. I want the over 10-minute videos going up. Anyway, we got some more stuff, some more comments. Let's see. Adam A says, I bought Bitcoin Gold at $30. Well, that's good. What is it at now? Let me see. Bitcoin Gold. Scrolling. It's in number 25. That's not actually bad. That's better than I thought it was. Bitcoin Gold, you got at $30. Well, it's at $20.97. So not that great. But hey, if you think it's good, let me know why. Tell me about it. It appears. Oh, we got a super chat from Daniel Erazo. Thank you very much for the super chat. $5, very much appreciated. Definitely going in the pocket for Wham, going towards our next big venture. We never spend any of the donations or anything on food, on shelter, on anything like that. All the donations go to focusing on Wham itself because it's hard to keep up with the recent censorship that all of us on YouTube have been feeling lately. It's been kind of insane. AAAA says, Nazi videos are censored now. It says because of offensive comments, no comments, can't share, and other stuff. Yeah. Well, Nazi video. I mean, I'm not... So everyone should be able to say whatever they want as long as they're not instigating violence against other people, and even then it's preemptive. It's a slippery slope, folks. As much as I can't stand Nazis and I can't stand commies, you know, you can't censor their speech or you'll only make them more powerful. And that's what we've seen with Alex Jones suddenly getting like way more viewers through his InfoWars app, which is like the #1 trending app on Apple right now. That's what happens. But I go into that more extensively. I do not want to talk too much about censorship today because I've got a lot coming up tomorrow, a huge report, put a lot of effort into it. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. So Mello says, I was hoping you were going to talk about the Turkish lira. We will be going into that right away. It's insane. There's already talk about bailouts and stuff. So we will dig deep into that soon. We last did a report on the Turkish lira in May, I believe. And it was, well, it's been moving fast. There's a lot of issues right now with, oh, look, yeah, see, we got this from, what is it, July or June or something? I'm just looking in my bank here on this site, or on this screen recorder. Anyway. So we did our last big report in May, and a guy by the name of Josh Friedman, who we're friends with here, met him briefly in Mexico. He's a journalist, has been telling us a bit and set us straight because we apparently didn't go into it good enough in our last video on the subject, and we are going to go into it further regarding how Erdogan has been fighting against the central banks. He's still a terrible person, talking about a centralized gold standard, all that kind of stuff, which we reported on last year. And there's a lot more on it, but it's really hard to go into this right now because I haven't dug enough into it as of today when everything seems to be exploding over it and I've had a million other things to do. It's really hard to keep up with the news. When your job is in news, you are expected to kind of like keep up with every single story in the world, and it's exhausting after a while. Most of it's bad news, so you got to keep like a really good upward momentum and, you know, keep a smile on, you know. Let's see. Joe Way says, can you tell us why Ben Swan is no longer making videos under Dash, but some other shit going? Yeah, he's doing it for Smart Cash or something now. I know the story behind it, but I'm not a big gossiper. I don't really like, you know, talking about issues that people might have with one thing or another. It's not a problem with Dash, I'll just tell you that. I'm not going to dig into that, though, because, you know, I'll leave him with his privacy. I like Ben Swan. But anyway. Daniel Arazo says, will Turkey be the next Venezuela? Very well could be. But I feel like, okay, so Erdogan has been anti-interest. The central banks have been obviously pro-interest. And Erdogan has been fighting tooth and nail with the central bank while still promoting centralization. So, you know, two sides of a shitty coin. Either way, it's no good. But there is I don't know, I'm not sure if it'll really go the same way as Venezuela, because Venezuela is at like a whole other level. Turkey, the Turkish lira, well, they're already looking at bailouts. They've been talking about it today. I heard Gregory Mannarino talking about it, and I really don't know where they're heading yet. Everything kind of just exploded today, and I really have to get a better handle on the situation to say where. I know that all fiat currencies eventually revert to their true value of zero, always have, always will, going back to 1024 AD in China, as I always go into to exhaust here at WAM. But will it go in the exact same direction? I don't know. Look at Argentina. Argentina seems to definitely be going in the same direction as Venezuela, but then again, they've gone through what, like over a dozen huge inflations, if not hyperinflations, in the last century. I mean, they never learned. Now they're just rebranding the peso, the Argentinian peso. That crashes. Okay, well, there's a new Argentinian peso. Pretend it's the same thing. It's absurd. It's amazing that people don't learn from their mistakes, or that people just don't learn about money because it sounds boring to them. And because it sounds boring, they don't look into it. And therefore, instead of controlling their own money, that money controls them. Daniel Arazo says, dude, Lira has lost over 50% in value in only 5 years. Yeah, I know. It's absolutely insane. I forget exactly the calculations John Sneisen added up for the Venezuelan bolivar. It's something uncomprehendable. He added up, I think, 135 million% inflation since 2010 or something. I mean, what? Just absurd. It's absurd. And then they just take away zeros, which they did earlier this year. Now they're doing it again while feeding people rabbits. And the people are raising the rabbits as pets. And people are breaking into zoos to steal animals to eat and eating their pets. And there's bread lines. And they can't get passports. And they can't get toilet paper. And, it's a utopia for centralization and central planning and socialism, as we saw espoused by people like Bernie Sanders and Andrea Martin, or what's her name again? The girl from I totally forgot her name. The girl from Russia Today from a while back ago. I hear she's working for the Venezuelan government now. How did that turn out? Anyway, Alex Stone, Erdogan seems like a nice guy to me. Yeah, I don't know about that. They all seem to be black sheep until you get on the wrong side of them. It's government after all. And also, he was funneling weapons for the United States to ISIS, so that also isn't exactly cool. I think we can safely say that. Is Canada ever going to pay off its debts? Abby Martin, Eduardo Calzone just said. Okay, Abby Martin, yeah. Who's Andrea Martin again? She like Andrew? I'm thinking of Andrea Mitchell, whatever. Okay, so AAA is asking, is Canada ever going to pay off its debts? Unlikely. There could be a debt jubilee and all that kind of stuff. I think they're probably going to default. It's impossible to really say at this point because, there are no fundamentals. There's nothing to really judge it by. Everything is so centralized and manipulated these days that the end point will only really know for sure at the end of it, and it's going to be messy. And the sooner it happens, the better it is. We cannot be pushing this on any longer than necessary. It's already been pushed on far longer than it should have been. It's already been pushed on, period, which is a problem. And centralization. So, as Charles kind of alluded to here, he says, currency collapse, when the dominoes start to fall, will it continue to cascade globally? Well, absolutely. If the US dollar, when the US dollar falls, that will cause a massive domino effect. Any of the major currencies fall, that will cause a huge domino effect. It depends on which currency we're speaking of course, but yeah, when Deutsche Bank goes down, that'll be huge. When some of these massive banks go down as well, I mean, it's going to be massive, but the world reserve currency obviously is going to have a profound effect on the inevitable crash of the fiat empire. And I believe that China is really trying hard to be the world reserve currency of the future with getting their citizens to buy gold to protect their wealth. They're still a horrible, centralized nightmare, by the way. I'm just pointing out that they're clearly getting ready for something, just like Russia, and Germany is repatriating tons of gold as well. And Russia hopes to double its ability to mine gold. It's gold mining production in the next couple of years. But anyway, and they're already huge. But China is telling their citizens to buy gold at the same time as saving up gold themselves, but then pushing a cashless system while attacking decentralized cashless systems like Bitcoin, but propping up their own banking centralized blockchain technology. Which is very telling. There's obviously a technocratic society, pushed into the SDR at the IMF, but a lot of people don't believe that we'll actually get there because it'll be just so chaotic when everything comes crashing down that there might actually be a real revolution. But we've been waiting for this for a very long time, and we've seen things repeat for 1,000 years. So how long are we going to wait until we actually start changing what we do. Hello, Darth Shady. As always, good to see you. Alex Stone says, have you ever been to Scandinavia? No, I have not, but John Snyson, our economic analyst, of course, was born and raised in Norway. So he certainly has. But, you know, I've definitely studied a lot of Scandinavian history, as well as the temporary overthrow of the king back in during World War II, I believe, where he was outcast to, what was it, Iceland or something. I know a bit of history from the region, but I can't say that I've ever been there, unfortunately. I do want to go, though. It's definitely a beautiful place with a lot of socialized, nightmarish problems. Joachim, is that how you pronounce it? Joachim Homer says your name sounds Icelandic. Yeah, Icelandic. Well, my last name is Icelandic, but my grandfather was adopted, but he was originally Icelandic. Anyway, so there's Icelandic, Native American, Dutch, French, and a bit of Spanish in there. Yeah, Darth Shady, I was just mentioning earlier in the live stream, we'll be doing a video extensively talking about the Alex Jones censorship tomorrow. So that'll be going up tomorrow. I recorded it right before I went live here, and we'll definitely be breaking down into that a lot. Let's see. A real video and InfoWars app. I wonder what percentage of the public is smart enough to stack precious metals. Well, I hope a lot of them, because it's, you know, a lot of people keep going, well, why haven't I made a whole bunch of dividends off my gold and silver in the last several years? Well, one, it's heavily manipulated by the banking system, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Scotiabank, all these others. But on top of that, it's wealth insurance. It's not an investment. It's not an investment, folks. It's a way to protect your purchasing power. It always has been. It's not meant to make quick money off of. If you want to play the game of risk, then go and, you know, get into ETFs, which I definitely wouldn't recommend at all, because that's a terrible idea. But yeah, it's pretty insane. Horace Bush says, what's the government like in Nicaragua? I've been looking into that off and on in the last while. It's weird because it's like a socialist uprising against a very centralized government. It's government fighting people who want a different kind of government. It's like, I've been making the point a lot more lately that we already live in an anarchist society. We just have an organized crime cartel stealing people's money and killing people, while a whole group of loyalists fall to their knees and bow down to them and regurgitate everything they're told to say. It's a religion. Statism is a religion, and people they have the influenza. They are under this guise of, well, I don't need to do things for myself. I'm so used to this state that I will expect the state to do things for me. We need good government, they say. And then they, you know, elect a new person. They vote harder, and it's the same old nonsense over and over again. The majority and their rule over the minority. The 51% versus a 49%, two wolves and a sheep deciding what to have for dinner. It's all part of this vast centralized system. So anyway, I got the March hair saying, you so sexy, lol, missed you, broham. Oh God, some of the comments on these things, fuck. Yeah, okay then. Daniel Arazo says, yeah, way to make an entrance. Yeah, okay. I would agree. There's some strange people that I find in these comments, man. I can't even tell you how many strange comments I just get pop up on my phone every single day from random people on my YouTube videos. Alukia says, yes, Josh, continue. I forgot where I was. Some man just called me sexy. It kind of throws me off a little bit. I appreciate it much more when Darth Shady says it, because I don't feel as creeped out by the whole situation. Thank you, Darth Shady. Let's see. We got... I'm just scrolling up here trying to find some questions. Joe Way says, I don't understand this gloom and Canada interest rates going up. They say the economy is doing great, raising rates 2 more times. The economy is not doing great. So look, oh my God, these comments. Look, when you see the Canadian dollar go up a little bit, it's going up in perspective versus the US dollar, which is always devaluing. So basically what you're seeing is it's devaluing at a lesser rate at times and then more so at other times. It's all fiat. It always goes down. It's inevitable. It has to. It always has. And with these rates going up, we are seeing vast amounts of people unable to afford simple things, cutting down their costs on food. We are seeing at the same time housing bubbles start to get more and more unsturdy. These banks, I mean, we've gone into this so many times before. Actually, the Bank for International Settlements a while back ago said that, you know, Canada is one of 3 countries most at risk of a banking crisis. And while I don't like the Bank for International Settlements, they seem to be attempting to make this clear before it all goes down so they don't look as bad, you know, all these years saying everything's so great, it's prosperous. And then, you know, employment, well, look at how much is hidden in the labor force participation rate. We are totally blinding ourselves with this euphoria, and we need to face the reality of this and prepare ourselves. I mean, sure, it can go on for a few more years. Sure, it could go on even longer. I don't know how, but, you know, they always have some kind of thing up their sleeves to centralize it and push it out further. But do we really want to end up like Venezuela? No, we do not, which is why it needed to crash ASAP. We needed to crash ASAP, and we need to rebuild from a free market competing currency angle instead of repeating the old tricks of history over and over again to exhaust. Okay, Daniel Razzo says, hey Josh, what is more valuable to you, Bitcoin or silver? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so I would rather take Bitcoin as payment. I would rather take silver as something I put away for a longer period of time because I can spend Bitcoin more easily, and silver is more undervalued, I personally believe, than Bitcoin is at this moment. I think Bitcoin is going through some issues. I believe it'll probably be back up and running in September, October. Remember last year at this time it was only $3,700 for one Bitcoin, so don't freak out. It's still about double that price now. But silver is insanely manipulated, so it's insanely undervalued, and it's like a beach ball underwater, and once that beach ball bounces up, it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unthinkable what we will see come out of that, and people like David Morgan goes into this extensively, and he's awesome. Just one second, actually. Oh, no, wait, I don't have the book with me. Oh, I do. Just a moment. I'll be right back. Ugh. So yeah, anyway, I got this book from David Morgan right here, Second Chance, How to Make and Keep Big Money from the Coming Gold and Silver Shockwave. David Morgan with David H. Smith. So it's a pretty interesting book. A whole bunch of good information in here. Where is it? He also gave me a whole bunch of these. It's fake, unfortunately, but so it's all fiat currency. But anyway, oh, we got a super chat from Gregory with Alex Jones Exiles. Do you have a sacrifice to make to the God Emperor? A sacrifice? Well, I believe, sir, that someone has already made that sacrifice, so we don't need to sacrifice lambs anymore. I appreciate the $2 super chat. I do. But let's get that straight. We don't need to do any sacrifices here. I feel like that's highly unnecessary. Anyway, let's see. We got... few more comments here. Yeah, the March Hare says, I got this book, meaning he didn't read it. I haven't read it yet. I just got it at the end of June, and I've been traveling from, let's see, I went through North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, Utah, Arizona. Did I say Nebraska? Anyway, then I went up through Idaho, Montana, Washington, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and then out to Miami, Florida, back through Chicago, back to Winnipeg, and then I just got back from Las Vegas. So forgive me, I've been all over the place in the last month and a half. It's been insane. And I travel that much thanks to people that have been helping us out, and mostly through donations in order to do business. But then I think probably I'd say about 95% of the money spent on that actually comes from cryptocurrency. Just stuff that I saved up last year and was able to to sell. So it sucks though. By the way, it sucks selling cryptocurrency right now. It's so low to be selling. It makes me sick every time I do it. Anyway, I don't sleep much. It's been pretty crazy. Notice how it's 5:38 p.m. where I am, and I'm still drinking coffee. It's what I need to keep myself on my feet. But no, I don't have days off. It just doesn't happen. I appreciate the offer, Daniel. When the markets are going good, don't worry about it. It's been a brutal half a year. I'll tell you. I mean, we saw a flippening. Bitcoin was skyrocketing. We hit $20,000, and then the $20,000 bounced, and we saw the coming bubble, which mostly was due to the inflow of, well, there's a whole bunch of demand for the futures after the announcement that there would be futures, and then we saw a whole bunch of bubbled euphoria, mostly in a lot of shitcoins. There's a lot of really bad cryptocurrencies that did really good for absolutely no reason, while the great ones did good as well. But it affected the entire market, like the dot-com bubble affected both Pets.com and Amazon, but Amazon obviously came back very, very strong. It wasn't the end of the internet, just like that wasn't the end of cryptocurrencies. And after the flipping happened again, we saw it bounce into the altcoins in January, and then we saw a bloodbath there. It's been difficult. It's been a difficult year, but hang on tight. That's all I can say. It's a market in its infancy, so we'll see a big kickback soon. Robin McAfee says, is your mortgage paid off? I do not pay a mortgage. I have no mortgage. I rent. I'm not a fan of owning homes in this market. Darth Shady says, you need to take care of your immune system and rest enough. I've weirdly only been sick once in the last year and a half, and because I used to get pneumonia every year. It was horrible. Antibiotics, all that horrible stuff. If I just took all natural stuff, I'd probably be dead. I mean, I love the all natural stuff, and there is a great amount of truth to it, but when you have bad pneumonia, you take antibiotics for the sake of yourself and then replenish yourself. But my dad's on here. Anyway, but I haven't really been sick in the last year and a half, except for a small cold when both my roommate and my girlfriend last year both got sick with 2 different colds at the same time, and fighting it off was like it was just a losing battle to begin with. Then I got sick, went out to Acapulco, got off the plane, and was immediately better. Breathing in that ocean air, it was amazing. My dad is saying I'm going to buy more Bitcoin tomorrow. Buy low, right? So one issue right now is that I'm not 100% sure that Bitcoin won't go to 4,800. I've been saying 4,800 since December. People told me in February I was crazy to say it was going to keep going down when it climbed back up to 12,000. I'm like, guys, there's way too much panic in a market that the sell-off was huge. We can't just expect it to go from 20,000 to 6,000 up to 50,000. That's too much of a massive crash for it to just start going up again. But Doug 209 says buy low. I've been doing it wrong. Tell me about it. I think we all have. Every time I say buy, don't buy. Anyway, so we saw this massive crash, and I've had a hard time believing that it was going to go up until at least July, and now July has passed, and we haven't seen the kind of move that we saw last year in July. Obviously, it doesn't mean causation, but one way or another, I'm looking at possibly September, October as the big rallies. But again, I could be wrong because some people have trended it as far out as next year or even the year after. I don't believe that, though, because the thing is we got way too many people who know about cryptocurrencies now. We have way too many people in the market, and we have way too many banks that want to make money off of us as well as suckers when it goes up, and they flood the market with billions and then cash out, which is another part of the market manipulation, which happens with all things, all investments, gold and silver as well. We've seen it forever. And we just need to be done with the banking system because they know this will replace them, but they'd be stupid not to benefit from it as well because they know their whole derivative bubble is going to pop. Harrison Whitaker says, did you find a new place in Vegas? I did not. I got turned down on my application. It sucked. Totally sucked. It was ridiculous. They took some other guy instead of us on really a technicality. There's no reason for them to take him. long story. I'm going back to Vegas, I think in a week or so. I know, just talking about traveling. Back to Vegas. All right, there we go. But anyway, Aaron Holly says, what level of Bitcoin do you consider it over? I think under 2K is yen. No. Okay, so it's not going to hit $2,000. Quote me on that. With that said, if it hit $2,000, yeah, I'd be very much concerned, but there'd have to be a really good reason for that, and that would mean that a lot of people would have to leave that market in mass out of panic, and we'd have very few people left. I believe when you're seeing people killing themselves over it, like we've seen in South Korea, that it's a good sign we're coming to the bottom. I hate to say it. I hate to be negative. Jeff Burrick has made this point as well, but it's unfortunately true. But wait a second. I'm just looking at... I'm getting distracted by other comments. Sorry. Robin McCaffrey says, if you're certain all fiat currency returns to zero, having a mortgage makes more sense than owning gold or silver. Think about it. Fiat reset means you now own a house and no longer have rent. Fiat reset means you now own a house and no longer have rent. If there's still yeah, okay, that's an interesting point, but I don't think that's exactly the case. So if you put in, say, let's say $1 million into a house, and the bubble bursts, and the banking system goes down, everything comes crashing down. Real estate values crash to rock bottom prices of, 20,000, like it was back like 30 or 50 years ago or less. Then you end up with $1 million turning into like $30,000, which is a terrible investment. When it comes to like, okay, so if you buy a place, flip it, sell it for double the price, which a lot of people are capable of doing in the 100,000 to 200,000 zone, then I can see some good in it. I have a lot of friends that do it, but I wouldn't be super interested in getting into that risk. I don't think it's better than gold and silver. I think gold and silver are far greater because they are undervalued to an extreme level, that like something that we've never seen before, due to the constant manipulation going back to, of course, FDR seizing the gold in 1933 and then using it to fund the Exchange Stabilization Fund, a massive manipulator in themselves, and then also using it to fund the IMF later on. And all the same, since 2012 being in a mega artificial bear market, due to banks like Deutsche Bank, Scotiabank, HSBC, Bank of America, BNB Paribas, all these others. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. When that beach bubble bounces up, we are going to see a massive rally in the gold and silver value. RFGD, GD, RDFGD, nice name, says, very beautiful name. He asks, or she asks, or whatever, that robot or alien creature asks, when will you be interviewing Dan Larimer again? Well, I would love to tell you. I've been reaching out to him. He's apparently too busy. I last interviewed him in December. I am desperate to interview him again, but I cannot get a hold of him at this moment. So unfortunately, I will not be able to do that until he responds. Every now and then, he has watched my videos. He's been known for that. So I actually saw EOS in the live chat a while back ago on one of my videos. So if you're watching, Dan, let's talk, but I doubt he's watching. Let's see. Everything's kind of being pushed up here. Okay, so Mello says, I've started stacking silver. Hopefully we have some years left to keep stacking before the collapse. Yeah, I mean, there's no way to say. It's so insane that it hasn't crashed yet. It should have happened in the 90s. It should have happened in 2000s. It should have happened in 2008. It should have happened in 2012. It should have happened in all these years. It should have happened in 2015 in September. All these times where we were on the brink. But alas, it has not. We are instead in a more artificially manipulated, propped up dead horse than we've ever seen in history. And it's on a global basis. And when that goes down, it's going to be absolutely insane. But it could happen in a week's time. I don't think it will, but it should. And it should have happened. But I have a feeling that we'll be waiting possibly a couple years for it. I don't put dates on it. It's just simply impossible. But you know it's going to happen, and that inevitability should keep you very vigilant and stacking and being as self-sustainable and efficient as humanly possible, because this is going to come down to you and your education and your ability to be financially responsible and stable and protect your family and your friends and all of that, and be able to fend for yourself for a little bit till we have a true competing currency system. Oh wait, we do. We have a little thing called decentralized cryptocurrency. Let's start focusing on all of our alternatives and all the ways that we can cure this disease called central planning and government. We have all the options at our hands. We just need to seize upon them and do what we can to push that message forward and provide these incredible alternatives to all the terrible things that we are facing in life currently. Everything that the government does, everything that the banks do, everything in general can be replaced by decentralized blockchain technology. And we need to do that before the centralized blockchain technology overtakes us, which will be a far, far, far worse situation. It won't be good. We'll be completely centralized and we'll be enslaved to the banking system, as if we aren't already insanely enslaved to the banking system. Robin says, fiat goes to zero. You can hand the bank $1 million note instead of buying a Big Mac. Fiat goes to zero. You can hand the bank $1 million note instead of buying a Big Mac. Yeah. You have an interesting way of phrasing things, Robin. Very interesting. I don't know why I keep getting stuck on your comments here. Forgive me. I'm tired. I just mentioned I've been all over the place lately, and city councilor just walked by my house. Let's keep an eye on that. Anyway, I've been all over the place lately, so it's been totally insane trying to keep my head on straight and then having conversations with people, and then after a while I'm like drooling and like, yeah, just saying, yeah, okay, yeah. Because it's just all these flights, the road trips. I love it, I really do, but it's just so insane. More than once a month is enough for me. Let's see. Darth Shady says the crash will be the zombie apocalypse people fear. Well, yeah. I mean, we already are in the zombie apocalypse, I fear. But at the same time, they cannot roam meaninglessly dependent if they are not in debt servitude. So we hope that as many of you are educated as possible. But either way, a few friends of mine have made the point that even if people aren't educated, they'll kind of be forced into education by the system that replaces the current one that's decentralized. I mean, it's amazing the vast awakening that Bitcoin has done. Well, Ron Paul has influenced generations of people, and then you have people like Adam Kokesh, influencing people, Larkin Rose, and we have, as much as I don't like him, Peter Schiff, and we have all these other people, Rothbard, Hayek, Mises. Now we have an inanimate thing that is influencing people to look into why central banking is terrible. Think about that. They get it. They're like, oh, I'm making money. Well, what does decentralization mean? And what does centralization mean? I better look into that. Oh, what's a Federal Reserve? Oh, they make all my money. And oh, look at that. It's not based in anything, and there's absolutely no scarcity, and value is subjective and based in scarcity, application, use, and demand. Wow, that's insane. It's, instead of people influencing people, it's this thing. This Tesla type wireless energy frequency blockchain. It's absolutely insane. RFGDF blah 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 says, would you ever interview Peter Schiff? He is anti-crypto, but his thoughts on the economy are second to none. Well, they are second to many, but in 5th and 18th. I like him. He does for a few reasons. He's done some great things. He's written some interesting books. He's just not a good person. I've met him. I've dealt with him. He called me an anti-Semite on his podcast after I called out George Soros being the Series A investor in gold money. I mean, the guy is not someone I want to associate with. Some of his people were telling people not to do interviews with me at Freedom Fest last year, including like people like Max Kaiser and stuff, telling Max Kaiser that he shouldn't interview me. Luckily, he did anyway. And Max Kaiser is awesome, but Peter Schiff, no, not a decent person. And he threw his own father under the bus, saying his father deserved to be in prison for what he did, which was, and Erwin Schiff was amazing. So no, I don't feel like giving Schiff any credit at all. I'll give him this. He's called out the fiat system for a long time. But then he's proven that he doesn't even know what fiat is by calling Bitcoin fiat. That tells me that he doesn't know what Bitcoin is and he doesn't know what fiat is, because fiat is by legal tender, it's by force, and it is centrally planned, and it is has no scarcity. It's just created out of thin air, but there's no cap on creation. And then on top of that, you got quantitative easing, fractional reserve lending, and of course you can take promissories or use promissories with Bitcoin, but it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't benefit as much as it would benefit them to, as a centralized system, enforce a bank coin that is only going through the banks on all of us by law, legal tender laws. It's a whole argument that I've gone into a lot of times. But yeah, Peter Schiff doesn't know what he's talking about, and comparing them to tulips and beanie babies. Oh, please tell me, Peter, how we hit a bubble with tulips and beanie babies. It fell to almost nothing and then bounced back up and continues going up and down and up and down. No, that didn't happen. And besides, beanie babies can't be used for anything other than putting on shelves and then selling for more, which they can't even do anymore. Or tulips are not scarce. There's no application use for them. In Holland, they ate them during famines. That's about it. I mean, the blockchain is useful. It's useful. You don't like the banking system. Don't you like not having to pay the bank insane amounts of money every time you do a transaction, like sending $10,000 and it costing you 80 something cents and not being able to be charged back? I mean, there's reasons Bitcoin has value. There are fundamental reasons. So anyway, just not a fan of Peter Schiff. So there's that. Let's see. Michael Jameson says, who would you date are more corrupt, Democrats or Republicans? I'm guessing you're saying who would you say are more corrupt? Well, see, it's like asking which part of the organized crime gang is most corrupt. I mean, the point is that they're corrupt. There's just different people who head the corrupt organization. I would say Democrats probably, but in the past I would have said Republicans. It's just, in the end, it's Pepsi and Coke. One's red, one's blue. They're both bad for you. They both make you sick, and they both will eventually kill you. And I think even moreover, with the Democrats and Republicans, they just enslave people in servitude to this vast collective for the greater good of the greater number, as they say, and they force people to believe on their knees with the chains of revere that they somehow owe the government something and that they must bow down to them and that they have to worship them like a religion, with the schools as the churches and the flags as the crosses and the the hymns, or the national anthem as a hymns. And I mean, we could go on and on and on with that. It's a joke. As I said earlier in this video, we already live in an anarchist society. We just have an organized crime gang walking around extorting people with their gang of minions, regurgitating their every word, bowing down to them. Like, look, we are on a farm and so many people believe, despite the fences around us, we are so free because we got grass to eat, just like a cattle. Until they march us off to the slaughter with a smile on our face. Wouldn't it be better that we have unlimited grass, open fields, not be forced by some gang at gunpoint to give up half or more than half of our money, be regulated to death, create monopolies, a Hegelian dialectic, a problem, reaction, solution, repeat for eternity, while propping up the system by using problem, reaction, solution, repeat, saying that we need this solution to stop the problem when that was what created the problem in the first place. The healthcare system is a good example. The manipulated markets, the central banking system. We could go on all day. We need to stop looking to government and trying to look for what's better or what's a greater form. Joachim or Joachim Homer says, advice, Josh, send an alert 30 minutes prior to live begins. To live, good system. Joaquin Homer. I did. I usually put it up on Facebook and STEEMIT. People get really annoyed when I send them stuff on YouTube for some reason. Whenever I send the notification through the community, people get really annoyed. People are like, you do it way too much. It's like, well, I need to reach people because YouTube sucks with their algorithm at letting me get seen by people. Let's see. Marve says they feed you grass and make you work. And if the free market was truly working in a true capitalistic way without government intervention, we would have competition and innovation on the markets being more productive, bringing more staff in, hiring people at a greater rate, and raising the rates at which they are hired. People would have more money in their pocket. People would have more money to donate towards things that they wanted in a voluntary society, and you would have more businesses providing better products for a better price, competing on the market. It would be wide open. People would live longer. People would be healthier. People would be happier. People would have more diverse lines of work to work in, so they didn't feel like a wage slave working a job that sucks. There's a lot of people with a lot of talents that are stuck in terrible jobs, which I do believe is their fault. We can't create victimhood here. We are a victim of ourselves, because no matter how much of a victim we are of the government, we cannot look at it that way. We must break free from that and do whatever we can to be successful, because anyone can do anything they want no matter what. But there's a lot of people, of course, that are not as intelligent, that are in bad jobs, and that's the way it would be anyway, and we need those people anyway in order to provide those lines of work, because those lines of work are necessary, though a lot of them are being replaced by artificial intelligence, so there's that as well. All I know is that the future is climbing, the future is growing fast, and there are ways around the centralized system. We just have to understand the system before we can move forward, because if we continuously look to government to solve these problems, we will fix nothing, and we will repeat history repeatedly for eternity, as we have. So anyway, Michael Jameson says, gave us $2 on the super chat. Thank you very much. He says, do you watch Freedom Tunes or Dapperton, or Mr. Dapperton? I don't know. I've heard of Freedom Tunes. I haven't heard of Mr. Dapperton. Send me a link on one of my videos or something here if you want to. I'm not sure. I've heard of it. I just can't say I know it well. Don't they like animate Eric July and stuff in that or something? I don't even remember. Anyway. Stephen A says, are you worried about being banned from YouTube? Absolutely I am. That would be terrible. I've been on YouTube since there's only a few hundred people on YouTube. I found YouTube on the 6th page of Google in the search when I looked up streaming video sites or tube sites back in, what was that, 2005? Something like that. There's barely any videos on the site. I am actually one of the first YouTubers. When my friends thought it was funny when I was younger to delete my channel while I wasn't when I left it open at his house. So I only have pictures with cameras of my original YouTube somewhere put away. But I was on in the very beginning when you couldn't even put more than a 10-minute video up. And, it's sad to see it go the way it has. But, the market always reacts and the market always provides, and we will have something better. And we are already looking at better things like DTube, but we need to build on that and support it and increase the bandwidth and ensure that this system is actually efficient for people, which there is a problem with. I appreciate the site, but it's a little slow. And we need bigger diversity of views on there so it's not as much of an echo chamber. But otherwise, I love the idea. Michael Jameson says, by the way, I just subscribed today. I love your content. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I really appreciate it. We are growing at an enormous rate. We're actually the fastest growing independent media at this for the last couple of months in a row. We're the fastest growing independent media in the world. So I can't thank you all enough for all the support. It means a lot to us. Okay, Booga 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 needs to seriously get a life. If you're trying to be edgy and extreme, it's not working, and you're not impressing any of the ladies. So, I mean, get out of here with that stuff. Just, if you think it's just cool and extreme, just saying the N-word over and over again, like, dude, what are you, 8? Lame. Find this guy a helicopter. Anyway, thanks, The Empire Strikes Back. Thanks, Theo Weiser. Thanks, It's Me, Boss Lady. No one's a boss of me. You're the boss of yourself, though. Thanks, Born on the Water. Booga, get out of here with that trolling. It's lame. Let's see. Korean Mama, Darth Shady. Thank you. I'm gonna, for some reason, her comments blocked Darth Shady. I'm gonna click to show that. I don't know why that was blocked. Thank you, the March Hare, even though you started this conversation in the most creepy fashion. I prefer people men not calling me sexy on here. It's just, it kind of throws me off for the rest of the video. Strange. Thanks, Gary Clark. Sorry I didn't get to all your questions. I gotta go, though. I have a video to edit and much more where that came from. I got interviews coming up right away. I got videos with John right away, and I have to go. Make sure to press like on this video, though. I've noticed that not all of you have pressed like yet, so make sure to press like. I want to see those likes coming in before you go away. That helps us get into the suggested videos along the side of the screen, which is where the majority of views come from, and it helps us get out there more and be seen by more people. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. I hope you continue watching. We've got a lot to come. I'm working on an interview with Ron Paul right now again, so there's that. That'll hopefully be coming up shortly. And again, it's great to talk with the audience. It's great to be able to have conversations with you and reach out. It means a lot, and it allows us to connect to people in a way that the mainstream media can never do. They prefer to hide behind dark veils. They like to take their marching orders and stay out of the public eye. Thank you, Michael Jameson, again for the $1 super chat that you just sent in. Thank you, everyone. And before I get even more carried away by saying thank you over and over again, and Daniel Arazo, thank you, Joachim Holmer. See you later. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change.